Hello, this is the last video about COCA. We're going to try to do another kind of search here, and this kind of search is even more specific than what we were doing before. So I'm going to switch over to COCA. Sorry. Okay. Hello, this is the last COCA video. I'm tired of doing videos. I hope this is the last one. And this one's going to do, I'm going to show you how to do a special kind of search in COCA that's even more specific than the kinds of searches we did before. Okay, so let's start out with a question. I want to know what word comes most after the word look. I want to look for the word look, and I want to look for another word. And let's see what I get. Look at. Okay, so that's interesting, but what I really wanted to know is the most common adjective after look. Is it like look nice, or look good, or look bad, or look gross? And maybe, my host family gives me food sometimes, and I want to say something about, it looks yummy, or it looks delicious. And I want to say that in a way that sounds natural. Okay? That's the reason. So I want to find the word after look, but really I don't want any word. I only want words like good or nice or delicious. In other words, I want to find an adjective. If I click this little box to the right, I'll get a drop-down menu that has many, many, many options. But at the top, there's one that says Add All. That will find any adjective. And when I click this, it adds a little tag to my search box. This is what COCA actually uses in its search. It doesn't use this box. It uses what's in the search box here. So this little tag here means find any adjective. Okay? And I want to find look plus any adjective. And for that reason, because these are going to be two different words, it's important that I have a space here. If I don't have a space, it's going to try to look for this word as an adjective, and I probably won't find anything. So look, space, and then an adjective, and what do I get? Look good, look great, look bad, look beautiful. Okay. Look good is the number one, and it's got about 8,000 hits out of a billion. Look great is the second most with about 4,000. So look good is definitely the most common. And actually look yummy, I'm going to just control F here. Yummy is not even on this page. So it looks like if I want to sound natural, I shouldn't say something looks yummy. And look delicious. Delicious is here, but it's got only 87 hits out of a billion, more than a billion. So that tells me this is not very normal, not very natural sounding. If only 87 people said this out of a billion different words, that's not very common, especially since the number one hit is about 100 times more common than that. Okay, so this drop-down menu, or just the tags, if you use COCA a lot, you might just remember the tags, are very useful for finding particular kinds of words. So for example, if I want to look up the word, let's use the word progress. And I want to know if it's more common as a noun or more common as a verb, because there's a noun progress and there's a verb progress that are both spelled the same way. I can use the tags here to find out which one of those is actually more normal, more common. So I'm going to look up progress verb. This time I don't want a space because I want to find progress as a verb, not progress and a verb. Okay, so no space. And what do I get? About 3,500 almost. So if I look for progress as a noun, again, no space. Whoa, okay. Way more. that tells me that progress, the noun, is much more common than progress, the verb, and it's not even really close. The noun is much, much more common. It's more than 10 times as common. Okay, so that's interesting. That tells me, I mean, yes, it is a noun, and yes, it is a verb, but the noun is much more normal. And I can also separate this by sections if I want to see, is it okay in academic writing or just in blogs or something. And no, it's actually the most common in academic writing. And again, this is progress the noun, not progress the verb. I can do the same thing for the verb, see if it's any different. So progress the verb is less common overall, but it's also the most common in academic writing, not in spoken fiction, TV, anything else. So both of these words are quite common. Not quite common, quite safe to use in academic writing. And if I had to choose between the verb and the noun, I would probably want to use the noun instead. Okay. So where this will be maybe very useful for you in doing homework is, say you have a word that you use and you're not sure if it's a noun or an adjective, or if it's both, you're not sure which one is more common. You can do what I just did here. Try to find, for example, difficult. And I want to say the word difficult is an adjective, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to look for it as an adjective and see if I get a lot of hits. And I do. I get a lot. About 25,000 in academic, 136,000 overall. But that's because I looked for difficult as an adjective. If I look for difficult as a noun, so that's the noun tag, but I just typed it. Let's see what I get. Difficult as a noun has 34 hits in academic, but very, very low overall. Again, this is out of 1 billion words, right? So that tells me the word that I wasn't sure whether it's a noun or an adjective, in this case, it was an adjective, right? And I can use COCA to check that. This is the kind of thing you can also look up in a dictionary, right? But sometimes you'll have a word like progress, where it is a noun and a verb, and both are correct, but you want to know which one is natural, and you can use you can use this part of speech drop-down menu to find that. I'm going to show you one more thing with this, because if your first language is Chinese, then the verb forms in English might be especially difficult. And if your first language is French or Spanish or something like that, you have a lot of verb forms already, although they work a little differently than they do in English. But especially if your first language is Chinese or Korean or Japanese or Vietnamese, a lot of these verb forms are difficult, right? Let's just leave it at that. So let's say I want to find a word like locate, and I want to know which verb form is the most common. I can do searches by different verb forms and try to find that out. I'm going to look for locating, and this will find locating as a present participle. It says ing, but it doesn't actually include gerunds. It's just present participles. I think, isn't there another one for gerunds? Maybe there isn't. Okay, in any case, this will give me the score. This will give me how common locating as a verb form of locate is. And it's pretty common. Most common in academic writing. That's good to know. How about located? And here I have two choices. This first one, ed, is the past tense. The second one, en, is the past participle. You know that when a verb ends in ed, these look the same. But I really want COCA to find only the past participles, not the past tenses. So I'm going to look for that. And this is a lot more common. Okay. If I'm confused about verb forms, I can use COCA to find out which one is the most common verb form. and I can just focus on using that one and know that because that's the most common form of that verb, if I use it that way, I will usually sound natural, right? On the other hand, if I look up like locates as a verb in the third person, you'll see that this is much less common in a minute. And that'll tell me I probably shouldn't use this verb this way because most people just don't use it that way. And if I want to sound natural, I don't want to use it in a way that is very unusual, right? COCA is taking its time to think here. When it does this, don't hit search again, just wait, because the server somewhere in Provo, Utah is just thinking very hard about this, right? It's still the most common in academic, but if you notice, this number is much lower, right? So located as a past participle is the most common form of this. You can see all of this in one place if you put square brackets around it. That will find all forms of this verb, and that's really fun. I think it's fun. So let's see. Yep, and that confirms what I thought. Located is by far the most common, then locate, then locating, then locates. Locates is the least common form of this verb. Okay, so that tells me if I want to sound natural using this word, stick with the past participle. In this case, this could also be the past tense, but I happen to know it's the past participle. All right, so I hope that explained a little bit of how to use these part of speech tags when you use COCA. And that's the last COCA video, so enjoy.